Jess here from the Scrappy Sisters. So I just wanted to show you what I've got here, what I've backed, and what I have organized. So I have used the Grow Your Garden cut file and did the same technique as Daisy did and just stuck some glue right in the very center. Now, so this cut file comes with the outline that I've done in white, and the part that is blue is all part of the cut file already. And there's a few various sizes, but obviously if you know how to resize in your Silhouette Studio, you can resize that as yourself. And they also come with some leaves. Now I didn't choose to back my leaves, I've just left those white. And then I also used the so they're the Grow Your Garden ones. I also used the Posie flowers that came in the Posie cut file. And so for this one, I again just glued it down in the center, and then I just hand cut. Oh, sorry, that was really blurry. Apologies for that. I just hand cut all the way around the outside, so it's not a perfect cut, but you won't really notice too closely with the way I'm going to use these flowers. This pink paper here is actually wrapping paper, but I just really loved it because, as you can see from the glare, it's got a really good shine to it. And then the Posies has got some beautiful sprigs and some, I just stuck these ones just straight down. I didn't make them flick or anything like that. So I've done all of that, and then I've also done this gorgeous cat, which is part, oh, there's a little leaf, get rid of that, which is part of the Animal Kingdom collection. And I just stuck everything straight flat onto this cut file. So obviously I've backed the entire cat in grey, which is a nice neat way to finish it off. And then in here I've got some gold vellum, some of that beautiful pink wrapping paper with the gold and silver shine, some gold sparkle, and I've also got some navy and a little bit of orange, because the navy and orange is in my photo. So my photo is of my two boys, which Thomas is in grey and then Jack is in navy and orange. So I just sort of tied them both in together there. And hopefully you can tell why I picked the cat cut file. They look same. All right. So I have taken my colours and have been very inspired by the Cocoa Vanilla Happiness collection. So I'm going to keep rolling along with those beautiful teals and pinks and get going with this layout. So I'll put you into voiceover mode and I will get started. See you soon. Okay, so I am back. So let's get this show on the road. So I decided I'm in a bit of the season, or the I don't know, the mood of backing my layouts at the moment. So I'm just cutting off a real slither around two of the edges. So it's just a tiny little bit of white that I want showing through as a bit of a border here. Partly that's because I really like the look of it, but in this case as well, this is a really thin piece of paper. Now usually I don't even keep thin bits of paper. I usually just purge them from my collection and give them to my son for his drawings and cutting and things like that. But in this particular case, the colors were just so divine. I had to keep this one. So it managed to stay in my collection, and I'm super glad it did now, because this worked really perfectly with what I was going for. So because the cat is so busy, I just thought I'd put a little bit of white straight underneath the cat. Now, gesso would be a perfect thing to do here, but I don't actually own any gesso, so I'm just using the Kaisercraft brand acrylic paint. And I originally started scraping it on with an old loyalty card, but I didn't like the harshness of the lines I was getting by doing it that way. So I've just got an old makeup sponge, and I'm just sponging it on now, and I much rather the sort of the soft, fluffy feel of that. So sorry that my camera is wobbling a little bit. I'm a bit aggressive with my rubbing here because this isn't gesso, it is paint, and it's I've got the heater on literally right underneath my desk. It's starting to dry quite quickly, and so sort of the ability to push the paint around and to spread the paint is running out really quickly. And so the sponge is sort of breaking apart on the page and leaving little sponge cracks everywhere. But I'm almost done. I'm almost happy with how it looks. I just don't want it too dark. I still want to be able to see a bit of the paper through it. I don't mind too much if it's dark sort of right in the center because I know that's mostly going to get covered. So that's done. I pack up and clean my sponge. I brush off the excess bits of sponge that have stuck to the paint, and I just pop that there to dry. It's really close to being dry. A, the amount of paint is super thin, and B, as I said, there's a heating duct right at my feet, so it's sort of getting dry from pushing straight up underneath my table there. So I'm backing this paper with the same colours as I used in my cut file, like literally the same colours. Just to tie it all together. So some of that gorgeous pink with the silver and gold shiny love hearts, which is actually wrapping paper. Pretty sure it's a Hallmark wrapping paper, but it will be, it's like 8 years old, 9 years old now. So not a current item. These are photo mats, you know, the pad, you can get the really thick paper pads that are in 4x6 size of like every colour of the rainbow. That's what these are. They were gifted to me from Janet from RTS Scrapbooking. So thank you, Janet. She sent an amazing package to my sister and I a little while ago now when she first started out on starting her channel, because she's just amazing and she's a darling. But I think our package was the last one she ever sent overseas, because she realized how ridiculously expensive it is to send something to the other side of the earth. The lady at the post office literally told her that she could not send a package any further away than sending it to us. Sorry that we live in Australia. That's a bit of a shame. Anyway, that was an offshoot. Why is it so expensive? Why can't they make it cheaper? It'd be so awesome to be able to send each other things all the time, but we just can't. Anywho, so you can see the beautiful flowers there and the kind of basic idea I'm going for. So I'm going to start sticking all this down. Foam on my photos and foam on the kitty cat. I will jump forward in just a second. You don't need to watch the process of putting foam all over the cat, but that's what I'm doing, and then I'm going to stick that down on the page. So just going to stick those down there. You may have noticed I don't have a lot of foam underneath the cat's arms. You might not have been able to see that because it was pretty quick. That's because I knew that part of the arms were going to go on top of the photo, but I just wasn't 100% sure which part. So I'll chuck the foam on in a minute. I like to do things the difficult way, and I put it right down on its paw first and then try and put it in under its arm. Yeah, I love a challenge. So bonus points to anyone that can now see that I've stuck this whole thing too far to the right. It's stuck now though, so it's just going to stay like that, and we're going to roll with it. So sticking all of the beautiful flowers around the photo and down underneath the cat as if it's laying on a bed of flowers. I decide pretty quickly that I'm going to stick just the flowers down first and then deal with the sprigs and leaves and things later. It's just easier to work out where everything's going if I do the flowers first. And I really love those, I don't know what they're called, but the bell flowers. But compared to the other flowers, they're quite sparse, and they don't sort of cover enough space. So I end up putting them both together because it just sort of fills in a little bit better, and I really love the look of those overlapping together. So I'm going to stick some of these flowers on foam and some of these flowers directly to the cut file and some of these flowers directly to the 12 by 12 paper. It just depends on sort of the height and dimension I want to have there. I want them to be overlapping. I want them to sort of be folding up and popping off the page. So a nice mix of how all the flowers are going on. I've tried to disperse the colors so there's a bit of a spread of all the different there's not too many blue ones together or dark blue ones together, so have you. And I've also tried to spread the flower style a little bit. You can see I did it pretty quick, so I didn't agonize over where they were, but it was in the back of my mind as I was putting them down. So once these have all been stuck down either by glue or by double-sided tape, foam tape, I will then have a look at putting on the sprigs and the leaves. So I just love this picture of my two boys. It's unfortunate that they're watching TV, but Jack was just laying on the floor watching TV, and Thomas was just rocking around, crawling around, doing his thing. And then I think his song might have come on, because you know how kids love music. And I just saw them both like that, and I just thought they were so gorgeous, looking sort of the same, staring up at the sparkly goggle box. And then when I saw this cat, I'm like, yes, they look like that. They look the same. That's what they're doing. It's just really cute. So these flowers are a packet from Kaisercraft. The two tones, the light blue and the teal, came together in one pack, and I just thought the colours were perfect for what this was. I really struggled to use these flowers on a layout. So when I had this design with all the flower cut file and then the colours I was using, I'm like, I've got to get these on here. They're perfect. So I'm kind of putting them under. I don't want them to sort of stick off the page too much. They are quite high, quite dimensional, so they will get flattened a little bit in my book. I am kind of tucking them in and under amongst the papers, and I tend to put them underneath the cut flowers, not on top, because they're not my favorite. Some people love the real flower look, not so much for me. I like it, definitely like it, otherwise I wouldn't put them on my page at all, but it's not my favorite. I'd rather have the paper flowers sticking out more. So that's why they are going under. So once I put them all through, so I'm piercing a hole with a needle, as you can see, and then putting the thread through all the way back to the back of the page. And then I will get some sticky tape and sticky tape over the metal stem, so that that's completely stuck down and out of the way. I will show you that. I didn't quite need all of these flowers on a layout, but I wasn't going to stop with only one or two left. That to me was a bit silly. I've used this many, I might as well put them all on. And they look great. I'm really happy with them. I think it's the colour more than anything else. The colour's just gorgeous. So you can see now all of those stems sticking out. And so I'll just use sticky tape on those, and I'll cut them down so they don't stick out quite that much, but I'll make sure the entire stem is covered, so that once I cut them, I'll make sure that even the little ends aren't sticking out from behind the sticky tape. I'll just keep that completely so that when you slide them into your page protectors and things, they don't have any bits to get caught or anything like that. And then once I do these flowers, I'm almost done. I'm really happy with the way it's looking. I feel like it is really coming together beautifully. I do need to do my title, but I do 90% of my title off screen because it's a little bit fiddly the way I want my title to go. This is my issue, for want of a better word. I do this a lot. So I'll just flick back over and show you what is going to happen. So I've pre-prepared my title by putting it on a piece of packaging, see-through packaging, just so I could play around with where I wanted it to go. Oh, I completely forgot about my stems. Sorry, I've jumped ahead of myself. I need to put all my beautiful stems on. Silly, silly, silly. So just having a play with where to put those. They are going to be only stuck down with glue right down the bottom of the sprig so that they sort of pop off the page as well. You get the nice shadow, you get the nice dimension. I really love the look of them sticking up and having that little bit of shadow underneath. I think it really lifts the layout by not having everything 100% flat and completely stuck down. In my opinion, other people don't like that look. They much rather it stuck down. I want it secure, but yeah, I don't think every little section needs to be stuck down. So once I work that out, I go through with the glue and just stick all those on. And I really think they lifted that flower clusters or the flower bed under there. I think it just gave it a bit more softness by having them sort of poking out and around. So I'm really happy with how that looked. Did I mention? I did mention that these are the Grow Your Own Garden and the Posie flowers. I just shrunk them down. So I fitted all the flowers from Grow Your Own Garden and the 2 leaves, and all of the flowers from Posies, and then all the sprigs in a 4x6. And I did that, I cut that twice. So that's how small they were. There was a cute little rose that didn't make it on the page that came from the Posies because it did not cut correctly. I really had a fight with my cutting machine to get this to work. I cut it 6 times and 2 of the 6 worked. So yes, the roses I couldn't get those to cut, and there was a couple of the Grow Your Own Garden that I couldn't get to cut, and I just stopped fighting with it. After that, I ended up with enough to work with. I don't know why. I have a Cameo too. Perhaps it's just feeling a little bit old and tired. It had heard that a Cameo 4 was coming out, and it just was feeling a bit sad about how old it was, perhaps. So that is where my title is going to go. And as I said, I do this off screen because 90% of the word Purrfect needs to be popped up on foam. And that's really fiddly, cutting the foam really tiny and skinny enough to pop up those letters. So just believe me, I put little tiny skinny pieces of foam behind each of the Purrfect letters to pop that up. And the word pear is just stuck down directly onto the page because I quite liked having the Purrfect, which goes with the cat, sticking out off the page. So just popping a little bit of gold splatters. Mostly I'm putting them underneath the flowers and around the flowers, but I do pop a little bit in amongst the word title, Perfect Pear. I'm really happy with how this looked, but I did and about how empty it looks up the top. I feel like above the cat's head and above the photo is really quite plain. But I think because there's so much going on everywhere else, it's best to do it that way. which is why in my case I think my pattern paper works well, because it's pretty and it's nice to look at, as all pattern paper is, but as opposed to having it on a plain white sheet of paper. I think I would have been really disappointed if I created this on a plain white sheet of paper, which I tend to do a lot of plain white paper. So I'm really happy that I put it onto pattern paper in this case. So I'm just getting some really teensy tiny pearls and putting those in the center of each of the Grow Your Own Garden flowers. And then I'm done. So I will bring it up for a close-up, and then I will show you some photos as well. And I'm really, really, really happy with how this looks. You can see all of the dimension there. You can see the flowers, how they bend up. You can see, so much going on. I just think it looks great. I'm really, 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 really happy with that. I hope you played along with the Animal Kingdom Cutfiles. Did you buy one? Which one did you do? What did you do? Tell me about it. If you have a channel, link me to it, or Instagram, link me to it. I'd love to see. Please like and subscribe. Please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.